This is the Lockpicker 1969, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to the next episode of Interview with a Lockpicker. Today's guest is NOLA Southpaw. Say hi.
How y'all doing?
So, where are you from? If I couldn't guess from your
From New
name.
Orleans. Yeah,
Have
from
you
good old New Orleans.
have you lived there your whole life, or?
Yep, born and raised.
Ah, okay. What is the one thing that you think people don't know about New Orleans?
That it stinks.
Okay. All right. Okie dokie then. So, how and when did you get into locksport?
I got into it in July of about 2022, um, and just kind of watched some videos and thought it was neat, so gave it a shot.
Okay. So, whose videos did you typically watch then when you were just getting into it?
I started off with there was one video between that lockpicking lawyer did with the modern rogue, and then it just bled off into Bosnian Bill and fish picks, and the rabbit hole began.
Okay. So, you mentioned something about making some of your own tools. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, when I after I saw that this couple of the videos in the beginning, I was like, man, there's no way it can be this easy. So I grabbed an old windshield wiper, ripped the inserts out, and started putting some bends in it. Had my first open within probably an hour or two, and been kind of just making and going ever since.
Okay. So, what kinds of locks did you start out on?
I started out on master locks and little basic doorknobs that I just found laying around.
Okay, so some kick cylinders, that sort of thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds about right.
I would imagine that they're the typical Quickset, Slage, Defiant, whatever, the ones that are more
Yep.
common out there. Okay, so what did you go to from Master Locks then?
From master locks, I was given an American Lock 1100 for Christmas. So from there, I worked on an American Lock for a little while and finally got it open, and I've been giving myself headaches ever since.
Okay, so what was your first pick set you picked up to learn with?
Out of the first one I picked up was the Sparrow. Well, the Goso set would be the first one,
Is
and
it
then I got
was
the. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
what I was going to ask, is that the one with the grenade handles? They look
Uh,
like
yeah, what's supposed to be the imprints for the fingers?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, okay. And
yeah.
then
Oh
what
Lord.
did you go to? How long did those work out for you before you had to move on?
Not very long, maybe a month max, and then I had to move on to something a little more useful. And I grabbed the Sparrow's Dark Shift set because
Okay.
I thought they looked cool,
They
so
do.
I went with them.
They do. I have a set of them along with the expansion set that goes with it. So they're not bad for an EDC type of kit.
Yeah,
So, which tool did you like the best out of that entire kit, though?
I used that little. I guess it's like the Euro pointed short hook from the
Okay.
kit.
Okay.
It's,
So, how long did you use the Dark Shift set for, or are you still using it?
I still use parts of it. I still use that pointed hook that stays in my everyday carry kit, and that's probably. I think that's about all I really use out of that kit still.
Okay. So, what did you go to?
From there, I ended up buying the Genesis set from Covert Instruments,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and been then just started. I ended up getting a little while after that. I got the Monkey Paws
Okay.
from Sparrows. Needed something a little deeper to get into the. Needed something a little thinner and a little deeper to get into the 410 Lotto lock that I got. Um, so I bought those. Those have worked out pretty good, and I still kind of use them too.
Okay.
Um, and then I pretty much used all. That's all I really had until I started up my channel
Okay.
and started. And then I got the Christina Palmer 13 piece beginner set, and I've just been kind of collecting and gaining more as I go.
So you mentioned getting those sets on. If I remember correctly, the reason you started your channel was you were doing was it entering gift or not giveaways or
Yeah, I had ordered the Jimmy Long set, which I honestly forgot about. Lord knows everybody gonna hate me for forgetting about that.
no?
I forgot. I ordered the Jimmy Long intermediate set, and it was his first run. And the turning tools had a had a few deficiencies, and I knew it was his first run with it, so I kind of reached out to Sandman because I knew he had a bit of a relationship with Jimmy,
Okay.
and through just conversation with him, he said he was going to be doing the Brinks commercial challenge,
Okay.
and you had to enter with a video. So I decided to go for it and give it a shot, and that's when I made my first video.
Well, nothing wrong with that. You've been doing them since that way, or has it been you've decided to do something different?
I've just been, once I did that one video and the community was just super accepting, and I
Yeah.
just kind of kept on going with it, and here I sit now.
Okay, so let's go into that a little bit. So you mentioned Sandman, but how exactly did you get into the community, and where did you start, and then what did that lead you to?
So once I made that first video for Sandman, and a couple of people they commented on it, Adam and Stu and a couple other people, and were super welcoming. And then I just kind of made a few more videos here and there, and then Stu had started up the Mitten Made locksport
Mm-hmm.
for veterans. So,
Yep.
and it was on Discord. So I created a Discord account so I could reach out to him,
Okay.
and got hooked up with him, sent him some locks to try and help support that, and became a part of Mitten Made, and it's been rolling through videos ever since.
He is an outstanding guy. I can't say enough good things. He's one of the only interviews I've ever done in person. So, and that was a lot of fun. So I'll leave it at that. So
Yeah.
you mentioned about you spent some time on picking time too, correct?
It was. I always confused the two. The one on Thursdays was Locksport Weekly, so I guess it
Ah,
would be
okay.
Locksport Weekly.
Okay, so more current, more recently. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't discover Locksport Weekly and the lives until after I started making videos myself and becoming a little bit more involved. Is when I started discovering so many more people's channels from comments I was getting, which led me around the bush, and I found a lot of stuff that I didn't know was there before.
Okay. Fair enough. So, question for you. You're familiar with, I'm sure, the belt ranking system, correct?
Yes, sir.
And have you been interested in that at all, or?
I looked at it, and I haven't actually officially submitted a video for it, but I do use the website itself as a guide for
Yep.
locks that I try to buy and progress through.
No, that's always a good way to go. Okay, now,
Oh yeah.
yeah, so you've mentioned to me that you sent a challenge lock out, though. So, well, if it's been reviewed by somebody, then you've met at least one of the requirements for the blue belt at some point if you choose to pursue the belt ranking system. Tell us about your challenge lock.
Yeah. So it was I used an old pin mortise cylinder that I had laying around, and this keyway was super paracentric, so I wanted to give it a shot. And the original intention was just to make it um, threaded chambers and matching threading on the pins.
Ah, okay.
But my tap and die set that I was using, I couldn't actually feed the pins into it, but I had already threaded the plug,
Ah,
so I had to make some adjustments on the fly, and apparently it worked out because it's been putting up a fight for the few people that have had it so far. They've had a good fight with it, so I guess I can't complain too much.
okay. If you ever want to try that again, you can actually purchase threaded rod stock. It's
Ah,
it's basically, as long as you thread the chamber in close to, where you're at with the actual pin or the threaded rod stock, and you cut it to length, and you have to kind of taper that at the bottom so that the key can go over it properly. If you're using a key pin for the threaded rod stock, if you're just doing drivers, then you're good to go. Just cut them to the length you want, and you're good to go. Um, but yeah, that works out pretty good, and it's a lot easier than just do yourself a favor, get something that's brass or something softer metal, because let's just say from experience, you don't want to deal with stainless steel threaded rod stock. It's nasty to try and cut.
yeah,
Anyway,
yeah,
so you played with someone else's challenge lock, though, correct?
yeah. I've actually gotten my hands on a couple. My first one was Paris Pix's challenge lock that he made. It was his first one that he sent out, and it gave me the business. It beat me up for a while until I finally figured it out. Um, and then I just finished up over this last weekend. I just passed. I just messed around with One Rough American and Lock Picking Hippies Challenge Lock Hippie number three, and those were pretty fun as well.
Okay. So most of your videos for your YouTube channel have been about entries and that sort of thing, or what else have you put on there? And I'm curious to know more about what the future is for your YouTube channel going forward.
So I I pretty much if I find a lock, grab a lock, get a lock, I'll sit down and if I can make a video with it, I'll make a video with it and either showcase something specific about that lock or a new tool. And I've been dealing with the doing the Stackelman stuff with the handcuffs lately, and it's been a lot of fun. And I'm hoping to continue going and continue growing and see where this leads me. Maybe we can make some. Maybe we can bring locksport to the mainstream.
Cool. Okay. So I did mean to ask you, so I'm going to circle back a second. Um, what, when you were learning, what were the challenges you faced?
Woo. So for me, it was trying to figure out how to tension and pick the locks as a southpaw because most of the videos that I was seeing were all right-handers and trying to mirror that with especially with in-hand picking with the way they were tensioning. I kind of had to come up with my own style and flavor. I found fish picks. Excuse me. I found fish picks, who is
Mm-hmm.
another southpaw,
Okay.
and um, kind of just tried to mimic his tensioning style and picking style as much as I could to try and understand what I was doing until I could develop my own that worked for me. And I've been trying to do what I can to showcase, I guess, as much of that left-handed in-hand assistance for up and coming southpaws that are coming into the game now.
Cool. Okay. Good stuff. Now, you mentioned that you had trouble with the American lock, and I know we talked about the American lock, but how did you tackle that to overcome it and meet the challenge?
So that Euro short hook that I was using was great because it allowed me to feel the pins, but I still marked the pick where the pin locations were because I was still new and I still mark the picks to this day, but it makes it easier to know when you're on the pin, and then from there it's just a matter of finding that fine line between the jiggle test and an overset.
Okay.
And that's probably the hardest thing to overcome with the American lock, especially with the one I had, because I kept looking for a counter. Kept looking for a false set, but the one I had, I was an unlucky one with all serrated drivers, so I never got a false set, and I had a zero lift on one, which the entire time I'm thinking I can't touch it, and I never could get it to set until I accidentally grazed it one day, and boom, it opened on me, and
Okay.
took a while to figure it out again.
Yeah. All right. So, are there any people out there that you'd like to give thank yous to in the Locksport community?
And it's hard to call out specific people, but I'm gonna shoot a thank you to Stu for everything that he's done with
Yeah.
Mitten Maid.
Yep.
Um, I gotta give love to both Stu and Not Too Dead with the Shackleman group. Um, just it's everybody. It's hard to choose one person without feeling like you're leaving one person out because
Sure.
everybody has been so welcoming and so helpful. Like Left Hand Loki, I watch a lot of his videos because he's a fellow lefty. I got to give the shout out pretty much to everybody. It's hard to just isolate one or two people, but I gotta give love to everybody because everybody has been just super accepting and welcoming and friendly.
Okay. That's fair enough. So, what exactly do you do for a living?
I work in a body shop, and I do, on top of the normal body work, I'm also the voluntold person who does all the lockouts because I'm the only one that seems to know anything about locks or lockouts. So I'm the elected and selected one to go do all the lockouts when the people lose their keys or lock them in their cars.
Do you have any goofy stories that you can share?
There was one. She locked her keys in the car in a little Ford Ranger. I had to go out to do the lockout. The truck was running. I get out there and she's telling me the door's locked, the door's locked, the door's locked, and I'm looking and I walk around to the passenger side and the passenger door was unlocked the entire time.
She wasn't blonde, was she?
Uh, should have been.
Yeah, that's
I
funny.
plead the fifth.
All right. Ever have any unpleasant experiences helping somebody with a lockout?
Some of the most aggravating ones are when I got to go do the internationals. When I got to go get the internationals open because I you got to get up on a step and try and balance yourself on a step and feed the lockout rods. You can't go in through the top of the door. You can only go in through the window frame area,
Hmm.
get down into the locking mechanism, and it's a nightmare because you got to fish around the window track and then curve back. So I had to make a special tool to try and get down in there and rotate and get back around onto the rod to be able to pull it up. And it still takes me about 30 to 45 minutes to get one of those things open.
Hmm.
They're a pain in the behind.
Okay. So you mentioned that you used to do car audio. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, in my little bit younger days, I got into that really heavy and built a I made a I was building competition audio sound setups for myself and a couple other people, and we've done some competitions. I've won a couple of trophies. A couple of my guys have won some trophies from doing it. But it just got time consuming and extremely expensive to stay in that passion. So it was time to move on with life.
Okay, that's understandable. All right. Last question before we wrap up. What is your favorite thing about Locksport?
The community is great. I love the
Mhm.
community. Um, but then the community is always and ever changing. People come in, people go out. The
Yes.
community is amazing, and I absolutely love it. But I love the frustrational relaxation that I get from sitting down with a lock and spending hours not being able to get it. And then once it finally opens, then you can open it over and over again.
Yeah. So
Like,
kind of like a love hate relationship.
yeah, yeah. I can sit on a lock for hours and hours and hours until my hand goes numb and lose track of the day.
I gotcha. Okay. Um, do you have a final message for our audience?
If you're looking into lock sport and you see it, pick up a set, pick up a decent set, try it out, keep it legal, and
Mm. Definitely.
Don't give up. Don't let it beat you up. Don't let it win. It's there and it's easy
No,
once you get a hang of it.
challenge yourself.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Just keep pushing forward.
If anything, it has a tendency to teach you patience.
Whew, very much so.
Yeah. All right. I I had a blast doing this interview, and I really enjoyed talking with you. So thank you for doing this. Very much
Thank you for
appreciated.
having me.
So with that, I'm going to say the same thing I usually do when wrapping these up. If you have not been interviewed yet, why not? You don't have to be a black belt in something, Dan, well accomplished. We don't. Nobody cares about that in terms of wanting to hear everybody's story. So bring your story. Tell us about you. There's a lot more to you than just what you do in locksport. There's also what your interests are beyond that. So that's the additional element that binds us together, that makes us have things in common. So let's allow everybody to share that. So with that, if you want to get interviewed, come talk to me. We'll get something set up. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. And if you are a subscriber, thank you. If you are not yet a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications and all, and hit like on the video. And thanks for listening.